The derelict alien outpost floated silently above a dying star, its metal hull scarred from centuries of neglect. Broken antennae swayed in the weak gravity, and long corridors echoed with emptiness. To most travelers, it was a place to avoid, a graveyard of failed technology. But to Dr. Kaw, Elara Kane, it was an opportunity. She moved cautiously through the shadows, her boots clicking against the metal floor, her eyes scanning the remnants of alien machinery. She had heard rumors about a discarded experiment, something the Coalition considered a failure, and curiosity, and something deeper, drove her forward. Elara had not always been an outcast. Once, she had been one of the most promising human scientists, specializing in genetics. Her research into hybrid enhancements had been considered brilliant, but controversial. The Coalition, a vast assembly of alien civilizations, had labeled her work as dangerous and immoral. She had been exiled, branded a disgrace, her reputation ruined, but she had never lost faith in human potential. Where others saw weakness, she saw possibility. That belief had brought her here, to a place the aliens had abandoned, to a creature the Coalition had left to die. She found the containment chamber at the end of a long corridor, partially concealed under fallen debris. Its surface was scratched and dented, the glass cracked in places. Inside, barely clinging to life, was the hybrid. It was smaller than she had expected, a strange blend of human and alien features. Its skin shimmered faintly in the dim light, half smooth and human-like, half iridescent like the aliens. Its eyes were wide, intelligent, and fearful. It stared at her, and she felt an unexpected pang of connection. This was not a mindless creature. It was alive. It was aware. It was abandoned, but not broken. Elara activated her portable scanner, her hands steady despite the adrenaline pumping through her veins. The hybrid was weak, malnourished, its respiratory system failing. Without intervention, it would die before she could even remove it from the station. She had to act fast. Pulling her medical kit from her pack, she began administering stabilizing compounds, her fingers moving with practiced precision. Every vial she injected, every touch she made, was measured to avoid shocking its fragile system. Slowly, the hybrid's breathing steadied. Its eyes blinked less frantically, focusing on her movements with a cautious curiosity. "You're safe now," she whispered, more to reassure herself than to comfort the creature. "I'm here to help." She had spent years reading alien biology, studying hybrid physiology and theory. But this was real, and real was dangerous. The Coalition would not forgive a human meddling in their forbidden experiments. If they discovered her presence here, she would be hunted. But she could not leave it to die. She would not. Not this time. The hybrid shivered as she opened the containment chamber. It looked like it wanted to resist, but it was too weak. Elara lifted it carefully, cradling it against her chest. Its skin was cool, soft in places, strangely textured in others. She marveled at the intelligence she could see in its eyes. This creature had potential far beyond what the aliens imagined. It could survive. It could grow. And maybe, just maybe, it could change the way humans were seen in this galaxy. Carrying it through the ruined corridors, she avoided the larger debris, careful not to make noise. The station had been abandoned for decades, but alarms and automated defenses sometimes malfunctioned. One wrong step could trigger a security system that would trap her inside forever. She found a service hatch, just wide enough to slip through, and descended toward her transport pod. The hybrid shifted slightly in her arms, its gaze following every movement. It did not speak, but she sensed comprehension. It understood. She was helping. It trusted her, at least enough to allow her to carry it. The transport pod was old, nearly decommissioned, but it still functioned. She activated the interface, and the engines hummed to life. The hybrid's eyes widened at the sound, an instinctive recognition of energy, power, and movement. Elara smiled faintly. "Don't worry. We're leaving this place for good." The station loomed behind them, a dark silhouette against the dying star. It was a place of neglect, of discarded dreams. She refused to be one of those dreams. She refused to let the hybrid become one too. As the pod detached and drifted into open space, alarms blared somewhere deep within the station. Automated defense drones, long dormant, activated and moved toward the transport bay. Alara's heart raced. She had to move quickly. The pod's engines responded sluggishly, but they were functional. She steered toward the edge of the system, weaving through the debris field. The drones pursued, their sensors tracking heat signatures, movement, life itself. But she knew these systems well. She had studied them, anticipated them. She maneuvered the pod in sharp, unexpected angles, and, one by one, the drones crashed against abandoned walls or collided with each other. The hybrid watched, silent, but there was a spark of recognition in its gaze. Humans were unpredictable, capable of improvisation. It had never seen this before. Hours later, after escaping the immediate danger, she allowed herself a moment to breathe. The hybrid leaned slightly against her, and she felt a strange sense of responsibility, a connection that went beyond science. She had rescued it from death, but now the real challenge began. The hybrid needed care, training, and protection. The Coalition would not abandon it lightly. They would come searching, but she believed that humans had something the aliens did not: ingenuity, courage, and the willingness to fight against impossible odds. And with that, maybe, just maybe, even an abandoned hybrid could become a symbol of what humanity was capable of. Alara found a hidden human settlement on the edge of the system, a place used by smugglers and outcasts. She docked the pod in secrecy, careful not to attract attention. The hybrid stepped out hesitantly, its limbs weak but functional. It looked around, absorbing everything with wide eyes. The settlement was humble, built from scavenged parts, but it was alive with energy. Humans were everywhere, moving with purpose, laughing, arguing, surviving. It was chaotic, unpredictable, and alive. The hybrid blinked, taking it all in, and Alara realized that this was exactly what it needed. It needed humans, not just for survival, but for guidance, for inspiration, for learning how to be more than what the aliens had intended. She set up a temporary medical area in a secluded part of the settlement. The hybrid sat on a makeshift bed, watching her every move. She fed it carefully, monitored its vital signs, and began explaining, in the simplest human words, what was happening. It listened, its head tilting in understanding, a subtle intelligence shining in its gaze. Alara realized that it was learning faster than any human child. The alien side of its brain processed information with incredible speed, but it also seemed to grasp human emotion, empathy, and logic in a way that the aliens had not anticipated. The hybrid was not just a failed experiment, it was evolution waiting to be shaped. As the hours turned into days, Alara began tentative experiments designed to strengthen its body and mind without causing harm. She taught it simple exercises, language skills, and basic reasoning tasks. It absorbed everything, often correcting her methods in ways that surprised her. She laughed quietly to herself. The aliens had dismissed it as defective, but the hybrid was far from it. It was adaptable, clever, and resilient. In its own way, it was learning to be human, and in doing so, it was learning to surpass the limitations the aliens had imposed. Alara watched it one evening as it gazed at the stars. "One day," she said softly, "you might not just survive. You might change the way the galaxy sees humans." The hybrid turned to her, eyes bright with curiosity, and she knew it understood. It did not have words for agreement yet, but its expression was clear. There was hope. There was potential. And together, they would face whatever came next. The night deepened, and the settlement quieted. But outside, distant sensors picked up movement. Ships were scanning the region, searching for anomalies. The Coalition would not ignore a missing hybrid for long. Alara's heart tightened. She knew the real battle was only beginning. But for the first time in years, she felt a sense of purpose, a feeling that she had been waiting for all her life. She had saved something the galaxy had cast aside, and in doing so, she had also saved a part of herself. She had chosen to believe in human potential when no one else would, and that choice, she knew, would be the key to surviving what was to come. In the dim light of the hidden settlement, the hybrid stirred and looked at her again. There was intelligence, awareness, and something more. A spark that told her it was ready to learn, to grow, to become more than any being had expected. Alara smiled. The galaxy had made its mistakes in underestimating humans, and in that mistake lay the beginning of something extraordinary. The hybrid's journey was just beginning, and so was hers. Together, they would defy the odds, challenge the impossible, and show the universe what humans could do when they refused to surrender. And in that quiet moment, among the stars and the wreckage of abandoned worlds, Alara Kane knew one undeniable truth. They had been left to die, but they would rise, and when they did, the galaxy would remember the name of humanity. The hidden settlement was quiet in the early hours of the morning, but inside her makeshift lab, Dr. Alara Kane was awake, already at work. The hybrid, now named Liren, was lying on a low cot, its eyes closed as if in sleep. Yet even in rest, its breathing was steady, and subtle movements hinted at intelligence always at work beneath the surface. Alara watched it closely, fascinated by the blend of alien physiology and human adaptability. Each day it grew stronger. Each day its mind absorbed more than she had dared hope. By mid-morning, Liren was awake, stretching its limbs carefully, testing its strength. It looked at Alara with eyes that reflected both curiosity and calculation, as though measuring her next move. She smiled. "Ready for today's lesson?" she asked. Liren tilted its head slightly and made a soft sound, almost a nod. It was still learning language, but communication had become intuitive. They did not need words for understanding. There was a connection between them that went beyond simple speech. Alara began with physical exercises. Liren's alien half gave it flexibility and endurance far beyond human limits, but its movements were clumsy at first, unbalanced. She guided it carefully, showing it how to distribute weight, how to anticipate motion, and how to refine its natural abilities. Liren learned quickly, often improving on her instructions, surprising her with solutions she had not considered. She could see the spark of ingenuity, an instinctive understanding of efficiency and strategy. It reminded her of humans at their best, inventive, adaptive, unstoppable when pushed. After the exercises, Alara moved to mental training. She presented Liren with puzzles, logic tests, and hypothetical scenarios. It processed them almost instantly, sometimes pausing to look at her as if evaluating her methods, then solving them in ways that challenged her assumptions. She realized that while its alien biology gave it speed and strength, its human side allowed for creativity, empathy, and reasoning that made it unpredictable. The combination was remarkable. She had saved something the aliens thought was useless, and now she could see why they had been wrong. But their quiet progress was not without danger. Unknown to Alara, the Coalition had detected anomalies in the sector. A missing hybrid was not something they overlooked lightly. Recon drones moved silently through the void, scanning settlements, checking for signs of life. Humans were clever, but the aliens had numbers and technology. Alara knew that sooner or later someone would come looking. That knowledge added urgency to her work. Every lesson, every enhancement, was not just about growth. It was preparation. By the second week, Liren had learned basic human language. Its voice was soft, unfamiliar, and melodic, yet it carried authority beyond its size. "Alara," it said one day, "why did they leave me?" There was no accusation in its tone, only genuine curiosity. Alara knelt beside it, her eyes thoughtful. "They didn't see your potential," she said. "They thought weakness was failure, but weakness is only failure if you don't learn from it. You are stronger than they knew and smarter than they expected. That is why you survived. Liren seemed to consider this, and she saw a change in its posture, a subtle straightening of its spine, as if understanding its own worth for the first time. Alara began teaching Liren about human history, strategy, and ethics. She showed it examples of humans overcoming impossible odds, of ingenuity triumphing over brute force. Battles, inventions, revolutions, they all became lessons not just in knowledge but in thinking, in adaptability. Liren absorbed every story with remarkable comprehension, asking questions that sometimes left Alara struggling to answer. It wanted not just to understand humans, but to embody the qualities that made them remarkable: creativity, courage, and the ability to act when the odds seemed impossible. One night, while Alara was recalibrating medical scanners, Liren approached her with a question that caught her off guard. "Could I fight?" it asked quietly. Its voice lacked aggression, but there was determination there. Alara paused. This was not just theoretical. They were preparing for a future they could not yet see. "You could," she said carefully. "But fighting is not just about strength. It is about strategy, timing, and understanding the opponent. You must learn patience first." Liren listened intently, its head tilting, processing every word. She knew that if the coalition came, patience would be as important as power. Humans had survived by thinking, by planning, and by taking advantage of unpredictability. Liren needed that lesson more than any physical enhancement. Days later, their preparation was tested sooner than expected. A patrol of small alien ships approached the sector, scanning for anomalies. Alara and Liren watched from a hidden vantage point, the settlement's communications console, alerting them to approaching danger. "They're coming," Alara said. "We have to move quickly." Liren's eyes narrowed, and it shifted its stance, ready to respond. Alara felt a surge of pride. The hybrid had grown stronger, faster, and smarter than she had imagined. Now it was learning human cunning as well. They moved with precision. Liren followed Alara's commands, using its agility to avoid detection, ducking behind structures and blending into shadows. The alien patrol scanned the area, missing the smallest clues that humans had left behind as distractions. Alara used her knowledge of human engineering to rig the perimeter with simple yet effective traps: false signals, misleading energy signatures, and noise generators. The aliens, highly advanced but predictable in their protocols, were deceived at every turn. Liren observed, learned, and even improvised, sometimes making subtle adjustments that improved their chances of evasion. Alara realized she was not just teaching it, she was also learning from it. Once the patrol passed, they retreated deeper into the settlement, taking shelter in a concealed storage area. Liren was breathing steadily, but its expression was intense, focused. "They are strong," it said. "But they do not see everything." Alara nodded. "No, they do not. And that is our advantage. Humans are unpredictable. We use imagination where others use only strength. That is why you survived. That is why we will continue to survive." Liren's eyes reflected understanding, and Alara could sense a bond growing between them, a shared purpose that went beyond survival. They were partners now, teacher and student, allies against a galaxy that had underestimated them. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of training. Liren mastered complex strategies, practiced stealth, and honed its physical abilities. Alara introduced basic technological manipulations, showing it how to use simple devices to amplify its advantages without causing harm. They conducted simulations of potential encounters with the Coalition, testing their wits and patience. Liren grew confident but never arrogant, and Alara knew that the lessons were working. The hybrid was becoming more than just a survivor. It was becoming a symbol of human resilience, intelligence, and creativity. One evening, as they observed the stars from the edge of the settlement, Liren asked another question. "Why help me?" Its voice carried a hint of wonder, of something almost like innocence. Elara looked at the hybrid, her mind reflecting on everything she had lost, everything she had been denied by the galaxy. "Because you are human enough to see possibility and alien enough to surprise them," she said softly. "And because humans do not leave potential to die when it can be saved. We are stubborn that way." Liren tilted its head, considering this. There was a moment of silence, but in that silence, Elara could feel a shift. Liren was no longer just an experiment or a project. It was becoming a partner, a force that could challenge the galaxy's assumptions about humanity. Their bond was tested when the alien reconnaissance drones returned, more numerous and cautious this time. Elara and Liren moved quickly, setting traps, sending false signals, and using their combined intelligence to evade capture. Liren's abilities allowed them to predict drone movements, anticipate responses, and exploit weaknesses. The aliens, confident in their superiority, were frustrated, unable to understand how a human and a hybrid could evade detection. Elara felt a surge of satisfaction. The galaxy had underestimated humans for centuries, and here was proof that imagination, adaptability, and courage could overcome even the most advanced technology. By the end of the month, Liren had become a symbol within the hidden settlement. Humans whispered about the hybrid that had been abandoned but was now thriving, learning, and preparing. They saw in it what Elara had always known. Humanity was stronger than it appeared, smarter than it was given credit for, and capable of achieving extraordinary things when refused help, recognition, or survival. Liren had become a living testament to human potential, a reminder that weakness was only the beginning, not the end. Elara knew the real challenge had only just begun. The coalition would not forget the missing hybrid, and their next move would be decisive. But she also knew something they did not. Humans could adapt, learn, and rise in ways that no algorithm, no protocol, no superior technology could predict. With Liren by her side, she felt a renewed sense of hope, determination, and purpose. Together they would turn the galaxy's assumptions upside down, proving that humans were not weak, not disposable, and not to be underestimated. And as Liren gazed at the distant stars, its mind alive with new understanding, Elara realized that this was more than training. This was the beginning of a revolution, a chance to show the universe that even the most abandoned, underestimated, or seemingly defective being could change the course of history when guided by human ingenuity. The galaxy might have left them to die, but humans never stayed down for long. They survived, they adapted, and one day they would rise. The human settlement hummed with quiet activity as Liren moved through the streets, observing, learning, and planning. It had been months since Dr. Elara Kane had rescued it from the abandoned alien station, and in that time, the hybrid had grown far beyond what anyone could have predicted. Its body was stronger, more agile, yet controlled. Its mind absorbed lessons of strategy, human history, and technological adaptation faster than any human or alien could keep pace with. To Elara, it was no longer just a hybrid. It was a partner, a student, and a symbol of everything humans could achieve when pushed to their limits. Elara walked beside Liren, her thoughts focused on the reports coming from the perimeter scanners. Coalition patrols were becoming more frequent. Drones and ships had been sighted near neighboring systems, likely searching for signs of the missing hybrid. It was only a matter of time before they discovered this hidden settlement. The humans here were skilled in stealth and survival, but the aliens possessed numbers and advanced sensors that could overwhelm even the most prepared group. That was why Elara had begun preparing Liren for something bigger than survival. They would not wait for the aliens to strike. They would act first. Liren crouched atop a low wall, observing the distant horizon through a pair of stolen surveillance lenses. Its hybrid mind analyzed patterns, trajectories, and probabilities, noting every patrol route and timing gap. Unlike the aliens who relied on rigid protocols and predictable routines, Liren thought creatively. It began proposing minor interventions, cutting communication lines, redirecting supply drones, and even sabotaging isolated defense units. Alara nodded as it spoke, impressed by the strategic thinking. "You understand human unpredictability now?" she said. "That is your greatest weapon." Liren's eyes gleamed with recognition, and it allowed herself a small smile. The hybrid was beginning to feel pride. Not arrogance, but the steady confidence of someone who knew they were capable. Their first mission was modest, but necessary. A small coalition supply convoy had been detected in a nearby asteroid belt. If left unchecked, it could resupply a forward station that might detect them later. Alara and Liren gathered a small team of humans, most exiles and outcasts like her, trained in stealth, improvisation, and unconventional warfare. Liren led the planning session, showing the humans how to use their limited resources to maximum effect. They marked positions for ambush, identified hazards in the asteroid field, and practiced silent communication techniques. The humans watched in awe as Liren's calculations accounted for every possibility, demonstrating an intelligence that combined human intuition with alien precision. The night of the operation, the asteroid field was quiet, save for the faint hum of distant engines. Liren moved like a shadow, its movements fluid and deliberate. The convoy appeared on the sensors, a string of armored vessels following a rigid course. Liren signaled the humans, and they activated traps and decoys designed to mislead the patrol. Explosions were minimal and precise, enough to disable engines and communications without drawing unnecessary attention. The aliens were confused, frustrated by the unexpected interference. In the span of hours, the human team had disrupted the supply line, demonstrating a blend of courage, creativity, and improvisation that no alien protocol could have predicted. Alara watched from the observation point, pride swelling in her chest. Liren had not just participated, it had led, taught, and inspired. The aliens might be technologically superior, but humans had something they did not: adaptability, ingenuity, and an understanding that rules were meant to be bent when survival demanded it. The victory, small as it was, sent a message. Humans were no longer passive, no longer weak. They could act decisively and effectively, even against opponents who believed themselves invincible. Word of the mission spread quickly through the hidden settlements. Humans whispered about the hybrid that had been abandoned, the one now capable of outthinking alien patrols. Liren became a symbol of hope, not just for its physical abilities, but for the proof it represented. Human ingenuity could overcome any disadvantage. Children mimicked its movements in practice drills, engineers studied its strategies, and leaders consulted it for advice on defense and planning. The hybrid had become more than a survivor. It had become a catalyst for human confidence, inspiring people who had long believed themselves powerless in a galaxy ruled by aliens. But the coalition did not forget easily. A high-ranking reconnaissance officer, intrigued by reports of human interference, arrived in the system. Unlike previous patrols, this officer understood the value of intelligence, adaptability, and leadership. Its ship scouted every sector, mapping escape routes, communication channels, and supply caches. Alara and Liren observed the approach, noting the differences from past patrols. This was more sophisticated, more strategic. A direct confrontation would be dangerous, yet retreat was no longer an option. Humans had learned to take initiative, to strike when least expected, and now they would have to prove their capabilities in full. Liren convened the Human Council, sharing observations and predictions. Its analysis suggested that the reconnaissance officer's fleet could be misled using human tactics, false signals, irregular patrol patterns, and decoy targets. The humans were hesitant, unsure if a hybrid-led strategy could succeed against such an advanced foe. Liren remained calm, patient, guiding them through the steps, Alara observed, realizing how far the hybrid had come. It had evolved from a frightened, abandoned experiment into a tactical leader, capable of inspiring confidence, managing risk, and achieving results where humans alone might have faltered. The transformation was astonishing. the humans prepared for a decisive action. Using a combination of stealth ships, automated drones, and Lyran's strategy, they orchestrated a series of diversions across the sector. Small attacks targeted supply lines, decoy vessels simulated movement, and sensor jamming created confusion. The alien officer, confident in its calculations, struggled to adapt. Every prediction it made was countered by human unpredictability, Lyran's careful planning, and the willingness to take risks that no rigid protocol allowed. Hours passed like minutes, and gradually, the aliens were forced into retreat. Their numerical advantage meant little against the coordinated intelligence, creativity, and determination of humans guided by the hybrid. After the mission, the settlement erupted in quiet celebration. Humans understood that they had achieved something remarkable. It was not just a tactical victory, it was a revelation. They had survived, adapted, and succeeded where they had been told they would fail. Lyran, sitting quietly in the corner of the council chamber, observed without vanity, absorbing the reactions of the humans it had inspired. Elara approached, placing a hand on its shoulder. "You have done more than I imagined," she said softly. Lyran turned to her, its eyes reflecting a strange mix of humility and understanding. "I have learned from you," it said. "From humans." Elara nodded, a sense of fulfillment settling over her. They had begun to show the galaxy the true strength of humanity. As days passed, Lyran and the humans continued to train and prepare. Each exercise, each mission, built not just skills but confidence. Humans learned to coordinate with precision, to improvise, and to trust in their own abilities. Lyran's alien biology and hybrid mind became a bridge, demonstrating that intelligence and creativity could multiply the impact of human effort. The coalition would not remain passive forever. Their response would be inevitable, and the humans knew it. But now they were ready. They had grown, adapted, and learned lessons that no alien force could predict. One night, while reviewing maps and mission plans, Lyran asked a question that made Elara pause. "Will they come back?" it asked quietly. Elara considered the answer carefully. "Yes," she said.
"They will. They always do."
"But we are not the same as before. Humans never are, once we have a purpose. We adapt, we fight. We endure, and when the time comes, we will show them exactly why they underestimated us." Lyran nodded, as if committing the words to memory. It was more than training now. It was preparation for a future where humans would no longer be passive victims, but active challengers, capable of shaping the galaxy itself. As the hybrid looked out across the stars, its mind calculated, imagined, and predicted. Elara watched, knowing that the galaxy was changing, not because of technology, not because of alien rules, but because of humans. Humans who were resourceful, imaginative, and fearless in ways that no alien could fully understand. And at the center of that change was Lyran, the abandoned hybrid who had become a symbol of human strength, determination, and ingenuity. The coalition had left it to die, believing it weak and useless. But humans had rescued it, nurtured it, and taught it to think, to act, and to lead. Together, they had begun to turn the tide, proving that even in a universe ruled by superior forces, ingenuity, courage, and adaptability could not be ignored. The hybrid's journey was no longer just about survival. It was about change, revolution, and the unyielding power of humanity when challenged to rise above expectation. And in the quiet moments before dawn, as the hidden settlements slept, Elara and Lyran stood side by side, looking toward the stars. There was danger ahead, and there would always be more. But they were ready. They had learned, adapted, and grown stronger together. The galaxy would soon see the truth. Humans were not weak. They were clever, resilient, and unstoppable when they refused to surrender. And when the time came, humans would strike back with a force the coalition could never anticipate. The first seeds of that reckoning had already been planted, and the harvest would be nothing short of extraordinary. The hidden settlement was alive, with anticipation. Word had spread that the Coalition was planning a major response to the human resistance. A fleet of ships headed toward the outer systems. Elara Kane stood at the observation deck, watching the stars streak past as scouts reported incoming vessels. She felt the familiar tension in her chest, but it was tempered by a new confidence. Humans were no longer the timid, underestimated species the Coalition believed them to be. They had trained, prepared, and learned to fight on their own terms. And at the center of their strategy was Liren, the hybrid who had once been abandoned and now led them with precision, courage, and ingenuity. Liren moved beside her, silent but alert. Its body was honed and strong, a perfect combination of human adaptability and alien advantage. Its mind processed countless variables at once, predicting enemy movements, calculating probabilities, and considering strategies that no single human, or even most aliens, could comprehend. Yet there was more than calculation in its eyes. There was purpose, determination, and understanding. It knew what humans could achieve when they refused to accept weakness. And now, the time had come to show the galaxy the truth. The humans gathered, a mix of exiles, engineers, fighters, and strategists. They had trained for months under Liren's guidance, each individual becoming more confident, more capable, and more determined to defy the Coalition's expectations. Elara addressed them, her voice calm but firm. This is our moment. They think we are weak, that we cannot challenge them. They are wrong. We have prepared, we have learned, and we have Liren to guide us. Remember, our strength is not just in our weapons, but in our minds, our creativity, and our courage. They cannot predict everything we can do. Move with intelligence, adapt when necessary, and trust in each other. The humans nodded, a sense of purpose and unity settling over them. They were ready. The first encounter came in the form of a scouting fleet, smaller than expected, but aggressive. Liren analyzed the ships, calculating their speed, trajectories, and firing ranges. They believe they are in control, it said softly, but they have not accounted for unpredictability. Using stealth ships and cleverly positioned decoys, the humans lured the scouts into a trap. Liren coordinated movements, signaling timing for attacks and evasions. Explosions erupted in precise bursts, disabling engines and communication arrays without causing unnecessary casualties. The aliens were stunned. Humans had struck decisively, using intelligence, improvisation, and coordination that defied expectations. It was not brute force that won the day, but ingenuity, a lesson humans had learned long ago and now perfected. The Coalition, alarmed by the unexpected losses, dispatched a larger fleet, including heavily armored warships and advanced drones. Their intention was clear: crush the humans before they could gain momentum. Liren studied the formation, eyes scanning every detail. "We must split their focus," it said. "Divide their forces, exploit their assumptions, and create chaos where they expect order." Elara nodded. The strategy was daring, high risk, but it leveraged everything humans did best: creativity, adaptability, and the willingness to act unpredictably. Humans moved with precision, striking weak points, disabling weapon systems, and retreating before the aliens could respond. Liren's leadership allowed them to control the battlefield in ways the aliens had never experienced. During the battle, humans began to notice a pattern. Every success was carefully planned, yet flexible enough to adapt to unexpected events. Liren's presence inspired confidence. Fighters who had once been fearful now moved with boldness. Engineers improvised solutions in the heat of combat, and scouts relayed intelligence faster and more accurately than ever. Humans had become more than a threat. They had become a force the Coalition could not fully comprehend. Each strike, each maneuver, was a testament to the power of human ingenuity, and it left the aliens scrambling to regain control. As the fight continued, Elara and Liren identified the next stage. They needed to confront the High Council directly, to show them that humans were no longer passive. The Council had been responsible for abandoning Liren in the first place, underestimating the potential of both human and hybrid. Using stealth and speed, the human fleet approached the Council's stronghold, navigating asteroid fields and hidden corridors to reach the heart of the alien command. Liren coordinated the approach, guiding humans through weak points and blind spots, ensuring minimal risk while maintaining maximum impact. When they reached the Council chamber, Liren led the way. Its hybrid presence, both human and alien, commanded attention. The Council members, expecting an attack from conventional forces, were taken aback by the intelligence, strategy, and audacity of their intruders. Liren spoke, its voice calm yet firm. "You left me to die because you believed weakness defined potential. You were wrong. Humans are not weak. We are adaptable, creative, and resilient. We survive, we learn, and we rise." The chamber was silent, the Council members struggling to process the words, the presence, and the implication. Liren continued, detailing how humans had prepared, how they had struck, and how the galaxy would no longer dismiss them. The Council realized that they had misjudged humans entirely. For centuries they had assumed humans were insignificant, predictable, and fragile. Yet here stood a hybrid they had deemed worthless, leading humans who had outmaneuvered fleets, disrupted communications, and executed strategies that no alien protocol could anticipate. It was a demonstration of intelligence, courage, and ingenuity on a scale they had never imagined. The message was clear. Humans were a force to be respected, not discarded. Alara stepped forward, adding her voice. "We were told we were weak. We were told we could not survive. But we did. We learned, we adapted, and we overcame. Liren is a part of us. But it also represents what you failed to understand. Humans thrive not because of strength alone, but because of intelligence, determination, and creativity. You underestimated us. And that mistake ends today." The Council members exchanged glances, recognizing the truth they had long ignored. Humans had evolved beyond their assumptions, and the hybrid that had been abandoned was living proof of their misjudgment. The confrontation ended not in bloodshed, but in recognition. The Council withdrew, unable to maintain authority over humans who had proven themselves capable of ingenuity, courage, and leadership. Liren had not just survived, it had transformed humans into a force that could not be ignored. The hidden settlement celebrated quietly, understanding that their victory was not just tactical, but symbolic. They had shown the galaxy that humans could rise against oppression, challenge assumptions, and achieve extraordinary results when underestimated. In the following weeks, humans expanded their operations. They rescued other exiles, trained them, and established networks of intelligence and defense. Liren continued to lead, guiding humans in strategy, teaching adaptability, and inspiring confidence. The coalition, once dismissive, began to recognize that humans were no longer a minor species to be ignored. Each encounter reinforced the lesson: ingenuity, determination, and the refusal to accept weakness could overcome even the most advanced and disciplined forces. Alara watched Liren one evening as it trained with young recruits, teaching them tactics, improvisation, and critical thinking. Its hybrid form moved with grace and precision, demonstrating strength without arrogance, intelligence without condescension. Humans listened, learned, and adapted, growing stronger under its guidance. Alara smiled, knowing that this was the culmination of everything she had worked for: the rescue of the abandoned hybrid, the nurturing of potential, and the creation of a symbol that would inspire humans for generations. The galaxy had made a mistake in leaving Liren to die. The Coalition had made a mistake in underestimating humans. But mistakes, Alara realized, were opportunities. And humans, when faced with opportunity and challenge, refused to fail. Liren was no longer just a hybrid. It was a testament to what humans could achieve when underestimated, abandoned, or ignored. It was proof that creativity, intelligence, and courage could turn the weakest into the strongest, the overlooked into the unstoppable. As stars streaked across the night sky, Alara and Liren stood side by side, looking toward the future. They had survived, adapted, and triumphed against overwhelming odds, Humans had reclaimed their place in the galaxy, not through brute strength, but through ingenuity, strategy, and unyielding determination. And Lyran, once abandoned and left to die, had become a living reminder of the power of humanity, that even when cast aside, humans could rise, lead, and inspire, proving to the universe that they were not weak, not insignificant, and never to be underestimated. The galaxy had been warned. Humans were here to stay, and with Lyran by their side, there was no force that could outthink, outadapt, or outlast them. The first seeds of human dominance, not through conquest but through creativity and courage, had been sown. The story of the abandoned hybrid and the human who refused to leave it behind would become legend, a tale of hope, intelligence, and the undeniable strength of humanity. The stars themselves seemed to reflect the promise of what was to come. And Elara Kane knew one thing with certainty. Humans had risen, and they would never be underestimated again.